Hey, Ghost Machine fans, this one's for you. Welcome to the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast, episode 50! It's time to return to the family Odyssey verse with a trip on the occult side as we deep dive back into Hornsby and Halo, number 3, featuring the Undead. I'm Nick, and as usual, I'm joined by my better half, Snoggle, aka Becky. My dear, are you scared this time of this zombie horde?
I am petrified beyond belief.
Yeah, I don't know if terror was what they were going for from the reader's standpoint in this particular usage of zombies, although I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm excited to be talking about the Family Odysseys again.
No, I thought it was fun.
Super duper fun. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm good. It's obviously this is going to air on Wednesday. And it's a Monday for me. Usually a pretty busy day at work. But I love getting to have this break with you and get to talk about something we love.
Don't you know it? And we have a shout out to kick things off as usual. This time it's a little bit different. I wanted to point out, and by the way, this is not by any means any sort of paid endorsement, but I have been a frequent customer of threadless.com for, as you can imagine, about as long as Ghost Machine's been around, because that's as long as they've been making t-shirts and hats and hoodies and cool stuff like that, coffee mugs too, on their website. And I wanted to shout them out because recently I had made an order and there was like something wrong with it, and they really were super kind about quickly fixing that and then also giving us an extra item, which was one of the things that we're raffling off, which we'll talk about in a little bit in the news section. But they're just super nice, responsive peoples over there at the threadless.com. So, oh, and by the way, did you hear the news, Snoggle, that they have a few new designs on there for Ghost Machine, like really recent new ones?
Well, this might be a secret sneak into our lives, but I was there recording the video that you posted on Sunday. So I did hear the news directly from your mouth.
That's true. Yeah, that's right. I didn't think about that. And so there's a cool Wave 2 logo with like all the characters in the logo and all the new characters, including the Northerner and like Miss Goodbody's on there and stuff. And then there's like a new Hornsby and Halo one. There's several new things. There's this really cool German Peralta Ash Arden cover that's a Rosie the Riveter homage. And they made that so you can put it on a t-shirt. And I'm definitely getting that one. So that's super cool. So shout out to the nice people out at the Threadless. They have all the sales all the time if you go on the website and do the things. And you can get your Ghost Machine merch there. It's pretty cool. Very reasonably priced, in my opinion, as long as you follow the sales, as you should.
As one does.
As one does. But enough about swag, because Snoggle's back in the newsroom.
This episode will air on Wednesday, March 12th, which happens to be the release date of the third printing of Geiger 10, the second printing of Geiger 11, and Geiger number 12. It is absolute radioactive party around here, ladies and gentlemen. Also out today from the world of the unnamed is the highly anticipated Redcoat number 10. I know I have been waiting for Redcoat number 10. I'm starting to get spoiled. It feels like it's like been forever. So really big new comic book day here.
I know, especially for any fans of the unnamed. Big Ghost Machine Day at the local comic shoppy, as they might say. You know, lots of books on the shelf. Like to see that. Did have a couple of other pieces of news to spring on you. It's like I'm the field correspondent, and you're going like I'm out there in the snow or the wind, and I'm going to tell you some more news. You got to go to the field
Like,
correspondent.
back to you, Brad.
There it is. There it is. And so you're the anchor, right? And I have to tell you that right now on the 12th is right in the middle of this giveaway cycle that we're doing. So if you go on our Instagram, where we usually post most of the giveaway related stuff when we do those, you'll see a post of me that came this week. And there's a giveaway for a Ghost Machine hat, dad hat, and a Ghost Machine zip up hoodie with the logo on the back and on the crest as well. And if you go on there, you'll find it. If you're listening to this a year from now after this came out because you're catching up, sorry, I don't have any hoodies or hats for you, but maybe we do in the future. We'll find out. But do the things and you can enter that raffle. And it's a fun video. So check out the fun video as well. You get a nice little glimpse into my closet. It's exceptional. It's very exciting. And the second piece of news, way more important than the raffle that we're doing. Way more important. Earth-shattering news, Snoggle. Are you ready for this?
Are you ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. Yes, I am.
It is official that for our 52nd episode, which, as you may realize, is our 1-year anniversary episode as well, because we have released without fail every Wednesday, and that will be our 52nd week in business. To celebrate that wondrous affair, we will have our first returning guests upon the Ghost Machine Fans podcast in the forms of Mr. Brad Anderson. Yes! And the King of Letters, Mr. Rob Lee.
Very exciting news. I am pumped.
Yeah, it'll be wonderful to hear their perspective after so much time has gone by and what they've experienced. It's super exciting. So thanks so much to those two for making the time again. And they're going to be with us 2 weeks from today to celebrate episode 52. But enough about these Ghost Machine guys. We got to talk about this Ghost Machine comic book. Before we tell you to worry about spoilage, we do have to give you an idea of if you were to go to your local comic book shop, what your options would be. We'll go in order this time. These two of these covers were rather similar, but I dug them all. The first one was by Peter Snaberg and John Calise on the colors. So Peter does the pencils and the inks, and it's Zach and Rose fully transformed, surrounded by zombies in a cemetery, right? What kind of vibe do you get there?
It's an all-out battle. What it seems like.
It's an all-out battle, but I just think that they are what I would call perhaps creepy zombies. Like, not so far to say silly zombies, but they're not scary zombies. Like these zombies.
Oh, they're not scary.
You know, I feel like you could pull up a chair and have a warm cup of cocoa with these zombies as opposed to the 28 days later zombies, you know, like, so I mean, obviously they are trying to get them, but I like the style. I've seen Peter draw this type of thing in BPRD and I really like it. The second cover was by Todd Nauck, I think is the right way to say that. This gave me very like teenager-y vibes.
Which I think is the vibe of the book. You know what I mean? The comic in general.
Kind of going into adolescence and everything. I think they mentioned that he's 13 because he's 3 years younger than he would be to really drive or whatever when he drives the hearse. But I wasn't super sure about this, but it looks like she's holding a smartphone and it looks like he's holding either a flip phone or something that's not even a phone.
I mean, it could be a reference to him being an analog kid or a reference to his parents don't give him anything nice.
Yeah. Gotta use that.
You know, like
that razor.
Her parents are like, what can we do for you, our child queen? And his parents are like, it works, doesn't it?
Right.
He's over there playing Snake.
Snake. on his TI-83.
Yeah.
If you appreciate that joke and know what it is, send us an email at ghostmachinefans@gmail.com.
Texting people using T9.
Yeah. It's funny because there are several members of our quote unquote team, like the Ghost Machine fans team, that are in their 20s that probably have no idea what old man Wilson is talking about on that. But for those of you that do, appreciate you. He really liked the art though. It was like a little bit of a change of pace. And I thought that showing the transformed characters like behind them and bigger it felt like, oh, that's where what they can become. Like, I don't know. I like that. We haven't seen it positioned that way as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I don't recall Todd Nauk doing any other Ghost Machine work thus far. So if that's correct, welcome to the party, Todd.
Bad.
Yeah, Todd. Last but not least, we have a C cover. I really liked the art in this, although I am not familiar with the artist at all. It's Christian Alamy, with colors by John Calise. And his pencils are like real sharp, real sharp. Like these are 28 Days Later zombies. This is where I was foreshadowing. Mm-hmm. Like these zombies are more like
they'll actually run and get you.
Yeah, yeah. Like those ones, I'm kind of like, ooh, like yeah. And
they're mad zombies.
Yeah, I just thought his lines were really tight. It looks good. I dig this guy. I'm gonna do a bit of Googling around Mr. Christian Alamy, and we will find out if he's penciled anything else. All right, so those are your three options when you go to your local comic book shop, which is why right now is your official spoiler pause for Hornsby and Halo number 3. All right, we've made it. We're here. There's a war between heaven and hell going down. Snoggle, we need a creator roll call.
Our creators, Peter Tomasi and Peter Snaberg. We have John Calise with our colors and Rob Lee with our letters.
Rob Lee. So we start off, right, essentially, I believe, right in the same location where the last issue ended, which was at the baseball field. The dog had come out of Zach's house and like interacted with this being that had like the glow going on in the dugout. And this is that same being because we see the dog walking away and it looks like they're speaking that angelic whatever script stuff.
By the way, I do like that is like, I don't know, the depiction of what an angel language would look like.
Oh, yeah. I dig it too. Very cool. And so this being that was talking to the dog has glowing blue eyes, leads me to believe she is angelic in nature. And she says the celestial's eyes finally need to be opened. And the only way to do that may be to raise the dead.
I am a huge Supernatural fan, not to brag. And angels, like, you think they're good, but they're up to no good. They're sneaky, whispering in their Enochian, just trying to cause trouble. For why? Self-righteous.
I'm just wondering, is this the celestial? I believe is Zach, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But I think it's Zach.
The time for hiding these past 13 years
right
is over. So, like, to open the celestial's eyes, this angel feels that it's time to raise the dead.
And then we get back to the funeral home, the Halo funeral home, because as you recall, another thing that happened in the last issue was we had like the biker gang from hell, literally the biker gang from hell, attacked the town, and they kind of fended them off, they being Zach and Rose. And in the process, he hit her with his car, or vice versa. He was driving the hearse because he had gone to the cemetery to take the stone sword back, and she was riding around because she had gone to the pawn shop because she was doing sneaky stuff. Then this moment, it's like every issue, and I think Peter kind of mentioned this, they find a new way to top how horrible Zach's parents are, right?
Uh-huh.
And this is a pretty good way to to do that. Like he's his dad's happier about the fact that they're not getting sued by Rose's family.
And
And
he's happy that the airbags didn't deploy because it would have cost him extra to replace them.
just unbelievable, right? Like actual like things that somebody would say, just
Mm-hmm.
profoundly challenging. And so I don't think that tops the whole call him inside the house during the earthquake scene, because that to me is like the worst so far. However, when his father says, instead of, as punishment, you're going to now go clean the crematory chamber instead of the usual guy who charges us $600, that's actually worse than him and his mom calling him from outside the house to ask him if it's safe to come back in yet. Like that's a comic book panel I never thought I would see, Becky.
I would never do that. I would be like, well, just kick me out. Because I've just seen and read too many things about people accidentally getting cremated. Don't Google it. It's a thing. I just like would never get close to that. Like you're gonna take a nap next to the crematorium, but to clean it, no. Why do you need to clean it?
But
I feel like the fire would clean it.
well,
I don't know.
there's one panel where he's holding a pipe cleaner and he's like going in and out of something inside the crematory chamber, and it's like bits of it are falling off onto his face as he does it. And to me, that is
Mhm.
literally like Peter said to Peter, "Hey, we need like this is horrible, but like you got to like really twist the knife. You got to make it as bad as possible. So how can you do that?" And then the other Peter was like, "Oh, well, let's make it so like in their chamber, there's like little parts that you have to clean out with a pipe cleaner, so like dead pieces of ashen flesh falls on his face." Like that was a thought process those two Peters went through to make us feel like these people are this horrible. So well
Yeah,
done, Peter and Peter. Good
I
job.
would just live on the streets.
Yeah, I just bounce.
One thing I love is he's always like eavesdropping on his family from the basement.
Yeah, it's convenient
Hmm.
that way. But that's kind of makes sense because they always have him down there doing crap, so he hears it. But in this case, he actually comes up the top of the stairs and like listens from around the bend, right? To the conversation between mom, dad, and the hooligans who are now injured and upset, trying to give their account of why they don't have the 20 grand in loot or whatever that was they were supposed to be stealing from a grave.
I love the look on the dad's face. It just shows his despicableness. Yes, if anyone could see us, we're holding our chins right now. And the demon girl, you could just hear him like mocking them with, I mean, that's some great art right there.
Bottom left panel on that page, right before we see Zach with his cat on his head, also
Yeah.
essentially eavesdropping as well. But it's so like, man, I don't know. I if I was running a funeral home and I needed some grave robbers, these would not be my two choice guys, you
No.
know, because it's like their penalty is they got to do two jobs for free and they can't drink on the job anymore. It's like, okay, well,
This does indicate to us, though, that he wasn't 100% remembering everything that happened that night. And he's like, Demon girl, a pearl necklace. I know someone who has a pearl necklace.
which it makes for a great interlude into the next scene being Rose. And it's kind of neat that they both are going down the path of power manifestation a little differently. Like she's kind of had these little glimpses of what she could be, like she does in the spaghetti sauce or whatever, tomato
Mhm.
sauce, where she sees like herself, but with like some spiny demon teeth and eyes kind of looks like maybe the mom that we saw in Hell
Mm-hmm.
earlier in the series, and it says it's you're her, and all that. And then we've seen her too, like when the demon biker babe grabbed her wrist for a minute, she could see her, right? And then it
Mm-hmm.
appears that the celestial, if Zach is the quote unquote celestial, that this is like bridging whatever's going on there is bridging the gap between the transformed Zach that does the whatever on its own, that seems to know what being an angel is, and then the Zach that is just a human because he doesn't at the moment remember those things, just like you mentioned a minute ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the difference there. I like that it's not, oh, they both just like turn 14 and then like, or whatever.
Right.
I also like the little detail because it's almost like for every time that they worsen the picture of the halos, they improve upon or whatever the goodness of the Hornsbys. Because we find out that the way that these people did this to make the shelter was they won the lottery. So it's like a counterweight to the bad natured stuff that the other family does.
I love that. Obviously, Rose and Zach are just, talking. And Zach's like, basically, my parents are horrible people. Yours are great. And this speaks even nicer to the true, kind, and somewhat unaware of people's true natures of her father, who said, "Don't be so quick to shoot your parents down, Zachary. Your mother and father perform an invaluable service by being familiar and empathetic to our community." And
Yeah.
they're thieves.
Then they take advantage of
They're
that
grave
perception.
robbers. And you look at the look on his face, he said, "Yeah, they sure are distinct."
Yeah, it's pretty clear that he's openly good natured. Like there is no part of him that's
Mm-hmm.
like even considering, because most you have to think about it. If you look at it objectively, many 13-year-olds would discover that and then start to do things like that instead of thinking it was wrong. Or if they knew it was wrong, they would justify it by what they observed and heard. And he
Mm-hmm.
does not do that. Like that's that thing about that nature, like the lack of nurture in his case, or misnurture or whatever. It doesn't seem to affect his true nature. His true nature stays strong. And that's interesting to me. But I say all that, and then he goes and he breaks into her house.
I do like, by the way, how they always seem to get into little tiffs.
Yeah, like an angel and a demon always have to
Mm-hmm.
clash a little bit.
And
He's got
obviously, like he has a cat, which we know is not a cat per se. Like, and she has a dog. So it's kind of like the things that always clash. Yeah. I mean, he totally is like, "I know where you got that necklace."
pretty much. And they created a lot of tension. Peter Snaberg does in the scene where he's handing her the folded blankets, like in that panel,
Mm-hmm.
asking about the necklace, and then the back and forth. The pensive look in both of their eyes, I think, is what does it for me.
Mm-hmm.
And to do that both with them both in profile, it's like, oh yeah, there's some tension there. Like, well done, sir. Eyebrow
Yeah.
placement was key.
Oh, 100%. When he's like, "Too bad."
Mm-hmm.
And she says, "Yep, too bad. Been in the family a long time."
Yeah.
He's like, "You liar. And I'll prove it by breaking into your house and searching your belongings."
Yeah. And he does, like, he doesn't even bat an eye. I mean, he must know they're all at the center. So that's
Yeah.
something that's feasible to do that. And he doesn't like break in. He just appears to go through her window as if it was open or whatever.
I mean, that's breaking and entering,
No, I know.
my
I'm just
dear.
saying, like, he doesn't smash a window or
Clearly.
he doesn't do anything that would leave evidence, is what I'm getting at.
I do think it's kind of funny, though, that he's like mumbling and angry about it. And you can really get that vibe from him. Like, "I think one of those," like mocking what she said while he's looking like, "I'll show her."
For sure. And he knows that he's basically just looking for the necklace, but ends up finding the necklace and a bunch of money, a thick wad of cash. And so here's my conundrum. The dog takes him down, and the dog we know or we surmise is like on like the more like angelic side of things. And that remember because the dog talked to the postal service worker who
And a
also
Nokian.
raised in a Nokian and raised the dead.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so interesting to me because in this case, the dog is still protecting Rose's interests, even though Rose's interests are not angelic, right? And it's pretty humorous scene, right? Like all these different amazing sounds from Rob, right? Like we have everything from like the dog tackling him and barking to the first undead hand coming out of the ground. You know, things crashing to the ground, the dog and him whamming to the ground. Later, the sound of a pillow hitting him just in the way where you also see a few feathers coming out. PLOOMFF. Hilarious.
Do you also notice what a little shout out to another Ghost Machine creator in this middle panel here?
My first color by
numbers book.
B. Anderson. This guy. Oh, that's hilarious.
Especially because this scene is like somewhat comical, and you know how I look at all the little details, and I was like, well, looky there. My first color by numbers book.
I didn't notice that. That's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put a post about that on social media and circle it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's just great. He gets away, and he jumps out the window off the roof. He's like, aha.
He does, but what we're saying is these panels are juxtaposed with 3 panels of a zombie hand cracking, or 2 panels of the zombie hand cracking through the ground / snow, and then the third one is the undead form of Elizabeth Stone or something. You can see part
the
of her
lady whose necklace was taken.
Yeah, the first one, and then we see on the next panel there's a whole bunch of them, and they're all like some of them are making noises as they initially like get their zombie bearings, but then they all in chorus seem to be saying, "Give it back! Give it back!"
I like the zombie in the bottom right corner who's like, with her tongue. This is great.
Yeah, I dig Snaberg's art on some zombies. And then unexpectedly, this is like a quick turn. I didn't see this coming. I dig it. And because I was like, the celestial, the undead, what's going to happen? Like, what do you mean?
Well, I love that he comes home after we know the undead, and it's back to his parents being horrible people again. Zach, we went skiing. Be back tomorrow. Keep on shoveling the walkways.
I do like how you see him say, how about I do nothing instead? And it's like, yeah, it doesn't make him a bad kid. He still can be a good kid and have that. But he looks like he's got, it's funny, in my opinion, like evil aligned cat likes playing with the necklace and the money, So it's kind of funny. But out of nowhere, though, we see the post office worker. She comes to the door, rings the bell, and is like, yeah, I got a package. And he's like, that's kind of like, isn't that kind of late? And there's like a generic, like, oh no, nothing's going to stop me from delivering my packages type of thing. And then I did not see this coming. Because what this means to me is that when that postal service and an angel made the dead rise, so what I'm saying is that now that we see on the next page that this is like a specific package that being wanted to give, it must be like the plan must have been raise the dead, give him this, and that's going to put him in a position where he has to use it because the undead are about, I guess, right?
Yeah, I don't know. All I know is one, he opens the box, and imagine you still don't know you're an angelic type being. You open the box, and a cloud floats out, a
Mhm.
tiny little cloud that glows, and you're like, what? And he can hold it. That to me is not a normal occurrence. Obviously, beautiful little feather in there. You love the taste of clouds, eat and fly.
And that's the note in the box that contains the cloud and a feather,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah,
so
and he's
he,
like,
he
this is weird.
mhm, puts it all back in the box, comes out, tries to find the post office lady. He says she's gone. Where did she go? Gets tackled by Rose out of nowhere, who basically just assumed it was him who broke into her house based on the fact that her money and her necklace was gone.
I like how he lies too. You broke into my house. No, I didn't.
Yeah, you can hear the kids' voices, right? No, I did it. Where's my necklace and my money then? And then literally the cat is just sitting there.
Wearing the necklace, mind you, with the money in its mouth. Love it.
With the money in its mouth. Yeah, it's priceless. I really dig that.
And what a scene, like, she's like angry, fighting, cat with pearl necklace, and you can just tell, like, creeping up behind them are these slow moving zombies.
Best panel of the issue is actually upcoming. Second best panel is the color by numbers original Brad Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Second best panel is so they get up from their tiff. The cat still has the money and the necklace. He still has the box. They decide to run from the zombies who are now moving faster. We get a shot from inside someone else's home where another child is watching this occur and he sees it. And the kid says, there's zombies chasing people and a cat in the snow. And this person turns around, who I swear is Peter Tomasi. I swear that is drawn to be Pete. And he says, sure there is. See, I told you not to let him start looking at comics so soon. And the woman sitting next to the Pete in the comic says, no more reading Light Brigade before bed, Corey. And if you recall, Light Brigade was that comic that he and Peter Snaberg did back, he said, like in a long, long, long time ago that nobody knew about, that sometimes people would ask him about. And
Mm-hmm.
I just
No,
thought
that's
that's
awesome.
hilarious, you know what I mean? Because you're like, there's probably people it hadn't I if I hadn't talked to him about that and been come familiar, I would have been like, Becky, Light Brigade is like it's like a new part of the family Odysseys. you know? I thought that was funny. And don't you think that looks like Pete?
Yes, I do.
I think it's
I
like
also
Pete.
love how they add all of these comical scenes within like an interesting storyline
Totally.
because I'll say when they're at the funeral home, his house, I'm like, has anyone else in this town seen these zombies? Just me? And then we get to this, and I'm like, that is great. Because immediately the parents like, get real.
Right? Yeah, they don't even give him the time of day, obviously. And then they kind of, ironically, they corner him in the football field at the school, it looks like. And even like the
Mhm.
goalposts get knocked over somehow. The zombies keep saying, give it back, give it back, give it back. But
I feel like there was divine intervention with that goalpost getting knocked over because the panel before it gets knocked over, you see it's like that waving lines.
totally.
That's pretty cool. That's great. Just storytelling right there.
And when it slams to the ground, you see the part that's still up is still glowy like that. Right after that, you get like the telepathy bubble that's saying, like, what are you waiting for? Talking to Zach, telling him eat and fly, Zachary Halo, and then up at the top of the hill, we see the postal worker making them in the kind of like a silhouette motion of, hey, eat that, and then eat and fly, and they're gone. And then it's like left up to him. But yeah, to me, that's absolutely what happened. It was like they dropped that down, and in a sense, it didn't really do anything but stop them in their tracks so that he could get their attention. Because it's not as if that got any of the zombies. It actually slowed Rose and Zach down and forced him to have to do that. And so they keep saying, give it back, give it back, give it back. And he eats the ultimate cotton candy.
Yeah, I wonder what it tastes like.
Yeah, I wonder too.
Electric something.
Blue raspberry. Divine blue raspberry. And so this is an awesome montage of panels because we have this zombie horde that's on top of them as they both appear to be beginning to transform. And the cat's there, still wearing the necklace, and we have panels of hands and faces and wings and demon horns and demon tails and demon feet and a patented Rob Lee BAAK And then the
Yeah,
North
this is
panel.
really cool.
Yeah. So what do you take this last panel to mean? This last page?
I mean, they have transformed. Part of me is it because they were together that they didn't fully transform? I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I was thinking that she's been because I think that they both developed the powers differently. I think she's slowly been gaining the ability to do this, and this is like as close as she's gotten. That's why she's like kind of 75% of the way. And thus far, whenever he's transformed, he's just passed out, and a spirit has come out of his body and gone and done stuff, and then come back to his body. And so this is the first time we've seen him have like an extension that is physically attached to him that didn't leave him to go do the thing, which is the wing, and it appears to be the right side of his face to an extent as well. So to me, that means that the postal service person, they activated the power in some way for him.
Well, I also, if you look at the panel or the page before they turn, you notice like he eats that, right? And then the second panel down where he burps, there's like an ethereal light that is on him and also spreads to her. And perhaps it's because her arm is on his. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out next time. Who knows?
I thought the bio for him was kind of cool, and it's like evolving, right, a bit, but it pointed out one really interesting and specific thing, and it, at least the way it was phrased, it said that his parents were selected because their lifestyle clashed with Zach's distinctive DNA. So there's an element of, and angels have DNA in this world, right? And I thought it was neat how they explained in this that they wanted him to live with parents that were of his opposite nature so he would learn to understand the necessity of coexisting with ancient enemies. But it seems like everybody but the adjudicator and whoever wants to turn this into a conflict, and they don't want the peace. So that's always, I think, going to be that driving thing. I don't know. He seems able to maintain a good / neutral mindset and stance and doesn't seem to succumb to evil much, as far as I can tell.
Agreed.
So Hornsby and Halo number 3, loving it, enjoying it. Can't wait to talk about number 4, which is going to be in a couple of weeks because we are going to go back to the world of the unnamed next time to keep you all up to date on the world of Tariq Geiger. But we're not done yet because we
Not done.
Why aren't we done, Snoggle?
It is time for a fantastic mail question.
That's true. So this time our mail comes from top the name's so confusing. I'll do the name, you read the mail. It comes from Tottlebean, but it's Tottlebe @N, who writes,
What are the real chances of us getting some more Ghost Machine action figures? How about statues? Maybe those would sell well. Thanks for the show. Do you want my opinion?
yeah.
I don't know when, but there will definitely be more Ghost Machine statues and figurines.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I think Rook will get the treatment first. This has come up intermittently at different times.
I
So,
hope it's Simon.
well, because it's come up before, let's put a little bit of spice on it. Snoggle. I have got,
Let's.
I'm a very fortunate early 40s man who is able to go to a Target with his spouse, and I'm always able to go take a look at the action figures. And many of them make the trip from that location and others like it to our home.
True.
And as an outsider looking in, knowing that thus far the only action figure that has been made is the Mezco Junkyard Joe, which is, it's really not, it shouldn't even be called an action figure. It's more like a miniature robot replica or, or something, because it's on another level. But knowing that, you know, what is your opinion of the action figure collecting versus the comic booking? What do you think, Snoggle, when you walk into the office and you see all the statues and the action figures?
It's very similar to my esteemed shoe collection. Like we all like what we like. So if you like comic books, then there's a good chance that you're also going to want some of the action figures. No, I mean, I think it's all cool. People like what they like. It's like my Legos. Nobody judges. They come in and they're like, "Wow, I didn't even realize that was a Lego."
Well, we have Legos all over the house of
That is
different.
true.
Like we have a dining room full of Harry Potter Legos as the dining room decor. Just
Surrounded by plants.
to give you context. You also asked about statues, and I don't know when the most popular statue era was. Like I feel around the New 52, there was DC statues. You could throw a rock and you'd find a DC statue. And there's still some statues. Like statues are still a pretty common thing. Like there's a lot of statues sold on the McFarlane store. So there was an era of statues, and like I remember it being a big like boom of statues. And so I don't know how this era compares to that. I think we're definitely in the heyday for action figures. And so if I were a betting man, I would say that you're going to see some Rook stuff before you see anything else. And also, I would definitely buy a statue, like especially a Simon statue or maybe a Tariq and Barney statue for
Oh,
sure.
that would be cool.
But I really am envisioning a pretty amazing Simon statue that I feel like people would buy,
Yeah.
and there's no talk of anything like that at all. It's just the Mezco Junkyard Joe, really, as far as we know. But it,
I think what would be sweet is a Geiger lunchbox.
oh yeah, there you go. See, that's the kind of thing you wonder if the folks at Threadless could add some stuff. So I do think that that would be a pretty cool thing. I have not thought up until getting this particular listener mail. I have not thought about Ghost Machine statues, and I would totally get down on a Ghost Machine character statue of some kind. But I would bet that the first action figures you'll see would be the Rook ones. People really, really, really like that book. People really love those animal aesthetics. And ultimately, whatever property gets that type of treatment is going to have to be what's also most appealing to someone new who's walking down that toy aisle. And Rook
Hmm.
is really good for that. And I would love to say that like Simon is good for that, but a guy in a red coat, like a British red coat outfit, unless you know what it is. Maybe if it says McFarlane Toys on the side, that'll make you look. But in and of itself, it may not stick out as much as like Rook and Direwolf and Ursa and Carapace and all that. And
This
Swine.
is outside of my lane.
Well, that's not true. She goes down that aisle so she can go to the Lego aisle.
That's true.
But hey, Toddle Bean, thanks for your kind words as well. And we are hoping, crossing our fingers for some of that stuff coming to the world of Ghost Machine sooner than later. We'll just have to see. And if you would like to send us a fantastic mail, you can do that by emailing ghostmachinefans@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. You can also check out all of our content at www.ghostmachinefans.com, where you'll find our Pinterest, our wiki, our forums. There's a link to our friends on the Facebook page, too, on there, as well as don't forget to check out the Reddit. There's been a lot of content going on the Reddit, a lot of great conversations going on, and of course Blue Sky and Twitter are on there, and the most active one by far, where we would love for you to come say hi, collaborate with us, it's on our Instagram at Ghost Machine Fans.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight on the Ghost Machine Fans Podcast.